The other thing that could be possible is
Okay, we could do that.
If he thinks that would help in recruitment, we could.
All right, it's 12:30. Good afternoon, everyone. And this is Marilyn Barger, the Executive Director and the Principal Investigator for FLATE. And we're here today to share, we're just hosting the PathTech Life project, giving a little report on their results to date and recruiting more participants in their survey for why students end up where they are for engineering technology programs. So I think Will is first up. So Will, I'm going to just say, remind everyone that we've recorded this and to mute your microphones. Ask any questions in the chat box, and I'll turn it over to Will Tyson right now.
Hello, my name is Will Tyson. I am the principal investigator for PathTech Life. Happy to be presenting today. Excuse me. I'm just going to give a little bit of background about the ATE Targeted Research and Technician Education Program and kind of how we got into PathTech Life. So I assume most of you are familiar with ATE. The Targeted Research and Technician Education Program has two primary goals. The first to simulate and support research on technician education and to build partnerships between two-year institutions and four-year universities to design and conduct research and development projects. These projects are mutually beneficial partnerships between two-year and four-year institutions. PathTech Life is the second collaboration that I've led as PI between University of South Florida and FLATE at Hillsborough Community College, both in Tampa. And so, this is a project in which both institutions have leadership on the project and both contribute to the kind of the regular ongoing project activities. So the need for targeted research. ATE centers and projects are typically led by folks with expertise on a wide variety of areas, but not necessarily targeted research. My background is that I am an associate professor in the Department of Sociology here at USF. My research background is in STEM education pathways. And so this is what I do for a living, is to figure out how people end up in STEM fields. And so partnerships between folks like myself and folks from community colleges can be mutually beneficial partnerships in which we all learn together about about what are our current pathways into community college programs and how to enrich those pathways, and what can we do to ensure more student success. Whenever I discuss my PathTech research with AT grantees and other stakeholders, I get a lot of the same responses. NSF always wants to know about student outcomes, but we don't really know how to do the research, or we didn't know there were people like you out there who did this research. And so PathTech Life is an example of a partnership that allows community colleges to answer some of the nagging questions you all have about your students. There's a large community of folks who study, excuse me, who conduct NSF-funded research and study STEM education. But, to be frank, a lot of them really haven't done work in community colleges. So this project is unique within my field of sociology of education, because there's not a whole lot of folks doing research in community colleges to learn about these pathways. And currently, ATE really lacks the capacity to develop partnerships between practitioners and researchers. So what we're doing here in Tampa is quite unique and special. And so PathTech Life is an effort to make that a national project. This partnership started with PathTech Tampa Bay, which was funded from 2011 to 2015, again, as a partnership between FLATE at Hillsborough Community College and University of South Florida. The objectives of the original project were to understand recruitment and pathways into ET programs, to provide information, improve ET education, and to increase the visibility of ET programs, and also to learn more about pathways in order to help meet local workforce demands. The community colleges that participated in this were 4 community colleges in the Tampa Bay area. So this is a local project. We interviewed high school students and high school teachers and administrators, community college students and administrators, and also industry partners as well. And so PathTech Life Survey builds on that to provide a national profile of folks in community college pathways. And my colleague Lakshmi Jairam is going to talk about pathways research and kind of the benefits of this type of research. And then I'll come back and provide some preliminary findings from the report.
Sorry, Will, to interrupt. Would you mind to share your presentation?
Oh, I thought I did.
No, we are not seeing it. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, I thought I was on share screen. Okay. Yeah, you can just see this real quickly, what I talked about. Yeah, so if you want, I can go back through and present in more detail, but I basically told you everything that was in the presentation. Sorry about that. So let's move on to Lakshmi.
They are transitioning.
It's on.
Oh, hi everyone. This is Lakshmi. Okay, I hope you can all hear me now. Sorry about that. I wanted to just sort of share a little bit about how we do pathways research and a little bit of background on what kind of information we think pathways research can provide community colleges. So when we think about education, we're not just thinking about an individual student in a classroom, but we're kind of thinking about the multiple contexts in which students are learning and how these contexts overlap. So oftentimes students, especially in post-secondary education, they're not just, transitioning into, an educational program, but they may be balancing it with work, with other aspects of their family life. And so in this kind of overall process transitioning into adulthood, we see lots of different kinds of transitions and overlaps happening at once. At the same time, we also know that many aspects of people's social characteristics can influence not only their expectations for their own attainment, but oftentimes institutions' attainment for them as well. Maybe we go to the next slide. So we see several specific benefits and opportunities for institutions that participate in a project like this where a pathways approach is being taken. So first of all, you will better understand your students' background, both their educational background, their work history, other experiences they've had that may be contributing to their interest in enrolling in your program, what their motivation is for enrollment. Are they trying to get a better job? Are they trying to change fields? fields? Are they working towards a degree? There's lots of reasons why students may enter programs, and our research can help you better understand what those reasons are. You can also find out more about what students feel is challenging about their programs and what they find rewarding about their programs. And oftentimes this can be helpful, especially when we look at retention numbers and moving students towards degree completion or program completion. It's very helpful information to have. Third, we can also learn about other aspects of students' lives and better understand, are these other aspects of their lives supporting them in their studies or perhaps presenting challenges or difficulty. And in this way, you start to understand students not just in terms of, an individual assignment or, progression in a course, but how these various contexts are kind of supporting or actually perhaps even presenting problems for them as they move through their programs. Another thing that we think is interesting about Pathways research, especially when we look at transition, is kind of this idea of cycling between school and work, or moving from school to work, or back from work to school. These are all important aspects of understanding what students want in terms of their hopes for what they're learning and how they can apply that to the job they want, the career field they want to enter. Lastly, we think that Pathways research can also help us develop more nuanced understanding of student aspirations, and not just in an educational or occupational context in terms of, I'd like to take this class or complete this program or get this degree or get this particular job or move up in this particular job, but also kind of to get a better sense of how education might be transformative for this person, for their family, how it might be changing their own expectations for themselves, for the next generation. All of this can play a big role in, not only why students enroll in certain programs, but why they complete them. So in sum, Pathways research seems to be very helpful in understanding student recruitment, enrollment, retention, as well as completion. And these are all very important elements when we think about our own program development. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to present some findings from the first wave of the PathTech Life Survey. These findings were from the first wave of the survey, which was back in April.
Sorry to interrupt, Will. Could you please share your presentation? Thank you.
Oh, I thought I'd done it. Yeah, it has. Oh, weird. Okay, I'd already. Can you see it now? Yes, it has me with the green screen. Yeah.
Yeah, get in there.
Okay. All right. So this is the findings report from the first wave of the survey that was completed back in April. The survey was available for about 4 weeks at the end of the spring semester. Just a background and overview of the project. Project goals, PathTech Life seeks to understand how learning, interest, family, and employment or life experiences of two-year college students impact their decisions to enroll, return for further coursework, and or pursue a certificate or degree. This is the timeline of the project. The project began almost exactly 2 years ago in September of 2015, and we've done a lot over that time frame. This wave one is the third wave of the survey that we did. We completed 2 pilot surveys, analyzed them, and used that to make the first wave of the survey. The national survey will be distributing the next wave of the survey in September. The topics that are on the survey, we asked students about their academic background, their college experiences, their employment background, their current employment status, their motivation for enrolling in their current program. We asked them to rate the program, evaluate the program on a few different measures. We asked them about their academic goals, their career goals, and we asked them about their demographic background. We recruited the participating colleges through ATE centers, and Ben Reed, who will be speaking next, help coordinate communication with the programs. Each program that had a 70% response rate or higher received $250 for their participation, along with a finding report and they will be receiving a findings report specific to their institution. The reason why we keep it at a 70% rate for the institution is that helps us be assured that the findings are representative of their institution, and also that we're not giving away too much individual information, small cell issues or whatnot, as we break down the findings. Each student received $25 for participating in the survey, and the survey took on average 15 minutes. So in total, we had 528 students at 26 institutions complete the survey. For this report, we use a representative sample of 387 students at 14 colleges at which there was a 50% response rate or higher. These are just the colleges that we can be confident were the students were representative of the program as a whole. The majority of students were between 18 and 30 years old. As you can see, there's a pretty wide range of students, but the national sample was a kind of skewed towards traditional age students. The respondents were heavily male, 84% men, which is similar to other national studies that have been done of students in community college technician education programs. The majority of the respondents were white, 63%. There's a mix of students who are who are enrolled full-time and part-time, and a mix in terms of students who were employed full-time and part-time while they're enrolled. Excuse me. Also, we found that a good number of them were in jobs that were related to the program, and those students were more likely to be part-time students. We used an existing model called the PRISM model for adult enrollment to understand factors that motivate students to enroll in these programs. The four categories we used were a pathway to a better life, a reflective learner, synchronizing learning, earning, and living, and their match with an academic life. So the factors that were the most important were this pathway to a better life. The factors that were rated highest among students were the desire to increase opportunities for a better life, to expand knowledge in the field, to build their technology skills, more of a reflective learner category, and improve personal growth. So this pathway to a better life and reflective learner, which is students' evaluation of their own academic abilities and academic readiness, were the main reasons students enrolled. We see in terms of educational background, 51% of the students had not enrolled in a 2-year or 4-year institution before enrolling in their current program. If you look back at the age distribution of the students, then you see that once you get past the traditional age students, the ones who were recently out of high school, that means probably a majority of students who had 25 and older who had time to enroll before enrolling in this program had already been in an institution. Now, for some of them, they were probably enrolled at that current college and then just changed to the major in that program, or some had already actually earned an associate's degree in another area. There are also a large number of students who had attended 4-year institutions, and half of the ones who had attended 4 institutions had enrolled in 4-year institutions had earned a bachelor's degree. So these programs are servicing a wide variety of students in terms of their educational background. In terms of life changes, the majority of students who said that they had experienced some employment-related, financial-related, family-related, or other life change before enrolling had a positive reason for enrolling, except in the case of financial. more students reported that it was negative than positive. So, we're also doing some look at the open-ended questions and reasons why people are, kind of the life changes that happened to them and the adjustments in their lives that they made after joining the program. Students were generally satisfied with their programs, rating just under 4 out of 5 on the scale that we used in terms of their general assessment and their satisfaction with courses, instruction, advising, and interaction. Students use a wide variety of strategies to pay for college. They could check all that apply, and most students kind of cobble together resources from different areas. In terms of long-term goals, most of the students plan to get a bachelor's degree. We also see that students were generally committed to pursuing a career that was related to what they were studying in their program, and the areas below: knowledge in their field, higher paying job that fits interest, fulfillment, advancement. All of these were reasons, were things that they felt the program could contribute to their future. In terms of motivation for enrolling, just to go back to the motivation factors, excuse me, personal well-being was one of the main categories, 4.7 out of 10. I put it in a 10-point scale. Academic effort, skill building was one of the most popular reasons. You can see how it broke down for some groups as opposed to others. Job and financial concerns were kind of a median reason that people enrolled, and then family and other concerns was actually the least important reason why people enrolled, according to the survey. Then you have more information, motivation by demographic factors. Won't go over those specifically now, but in terms of next steps, the fall survey will be coming out next month. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be making some small edits to the survey, getting that approved by our IRB, and then getting back in touch with everybody who's interested in completing, in participating in the project. And we'll be doing more findings reports based on what we find in the next wave. Now, Ben will tell you a little bit more about participating in the project, how to get involved, and kind of best practices.
Thank you, Will. And hi, everyone. This is Ben Reed. I will be your point of contact, helping you distribute the survey, giving you the survey links, a couple of flyers, both for other colleagues that may be interested and for your students to take it, which will include the link they'll click on. Like Will said, I'll give you a couple of examples. Now we've done 2 beta rounds and the first round of distribution, so we have a little experience and know-how under our belts, and that's what I'll talk to you about. For examples of colleges, AB Technical Community College had 27 responses. Columbia Gorge Community College had 35 out of the 35 that they invited. Edmonds Community College had 98 out of the 130 that they invited. Gulf Coast State College, 33 out of 46, so over 72%. We're seeing some good responses, and one of the people that we're going to have talk here, firsthand experience, is Jeff Bates out of Columbus State Community College. They had 23 responses in this last survey round, and I'd like to just ask Jeff about what worked for him and his experience in helping his students to take the PathTech Life Survey. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I do maintain an email list that I send out job postings, but that is current and former students, so that's about 370. But I decided to go with our online platform. We use Blackboard here at Columbus State, and what I did is select certain classes within my program and alerted the instructors if it wasn't one of my classes, and made sure I only selected courses that did have technical, students in there. So some of the introductory and science courses would have Ohio State and other students in there. So selected courses where I knew they were students within my program, and sent out an email with the link that Ben provided. So that was pretty much the way I reached out to our students. And we probably have about 40 or 50 students in the environmental safety program that I teach in. But maybe in the future, since we have rather large construction or engineering and construction programs, we could expand that significantly.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. And Jeff was a bit different than most folks, as he was saying that a lot of his program was online based. Another side that we saw for having that full participation is giving students time during class. Now, I've said it before, and I may have said it to some participants on the webinar here. It's not something that PathTech Life requests, and they certainly don't mandate it. However, when we look at the data, it's clear that the faculty who invited their students, talking about in class, your traditional type of classes, when they invited their students to the survey and gave them time in class with computers, they had the highest response rates. So if there's that time to give 15 minutes or 20 minutes and allocate that time, that'd be best. Will has noted that the average time was 15 minutes and 3 seconds for a student to complete the survey. The students, when you look at the ones that took it in class, had an average time of about 12 minutes. So they're getting it done and knocking it out. So if that's an option for you anytime in the semester, if you can say, here's a day in which we could take a few minutes and make this happen all at one time, that'll give you the highest response rates. Another tip, we have 3 minutes we want to wrap this webinar up in. So first, let me say, for the next steps, I will be emailing everybody, and we'll get you registered and get to know how many people you'll be sending the survey out to. So for the last couple of minutes, I'll just say a couple of other tips. Given a time frame for completion, that helps. We'll have the survey open through November because we're going to use the ATPI conference as a last gathering to connect with some folks at the community colleges in advanced technology. But while we're going to have it open this whole time, we find that it's best to only have it open for about 2 weeks. So to announce to your students so that it stays top of mind that it's open for 2 weeks, try to complete it in that time. And after the first week, I'll get back to you and say, this is how many of your students, so you're aware of the response rate that you're getting at that time as well. Because we have just a few minutes, why don't we open it up for questions? And are there any comments that we'd like to have?
I don't see any questions as of yet here. Okay,
good. If anybody does have a question, you could ask that now, and if not, I'll continue to say that the next step will be I'll follow up with you. I'll send you an email, and that way we'll get you registered. I'll send you the flyers, which you can send to your students and to your other colleagues to help them bring on. And then I'll announce the exact date of the survey, and we'll just kind of go from there. You'll send it out to your students. I'll follow back up with you, and that's just how we'll go. And you can contact me with any questions along the way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ben. Do you know approximate date when you think the survey will be available? A start date, that might be for Will.
It really depends on the IRB process. My kind of personal target date is like about 3 weeks from now. So I guess like around the 20th. That would give us enough time to get the process going. We I see we have a question. Do you know when our institution's results will be available? I assume that's talking about from the first wave. We're working on that now. The results are done. It's just a matter of putting them together in the findings report. Ben's colleague with Impact Allies, Emma Perk, is working on the data visualization for us. She put together the report, and so it just takes a little extra time to make the report specific to each college. But I've seen kind of a hypothetical draft for a college, and the reports look really good. As soon as they're ready, each institution will get them.
Okay, great. Thank you. And again, if you have any questions, you can contact Ben, as he mentioned, your point of contact. and he'll be reaching out to everyone anyway. We'll be sending around this link to the recording in case there's something here that you want to listen to again or share with some of your colleagues at your different institutions. So with that, I'll say thanks for joining us.
Oh, we have another question.
Okay.
Yeah, was there a $25 perk to fill out the survey as in the past? Yes, there was. There has been $25 for the students in each iteration, and we will continue to do that in the next wave of the survey.
Okay, great. Nice point. Nice.
Thank you for asking.
Nice incentive there.
Yeah,
and there's an incentive for the colleges too for the $250. So
if you have a high response rate.
Right.
Yeah, the $25 incentive is key. I mean, if you're asking people about how they're balancing their work time and school, then you recognize they're busy, so you got to pay them for their time.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and hopefully you'll all connect with Ben, and we'll get some great national data on this trend. So thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. Another question from Sam. The schools that have, am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay. The schools that have a 70% response rate will receive the $250 incentive as well as a findings report. Now, keep in mind that obviously 70% is a high rate, but we want you to target all of your students, not just the ones who were enrolled in the AS degree program. One of the real strengths of this survey is that perhaps you have students in your program who, this is their first semester in. You don't know if they're really planning on getting a degree or not. We can find out more about these students and maybe help you. This information can help you tailor strategies to retain more students who would ordinarily just kind of, take a course and not come back. And so we're really interested in learning more about all of your students, not just the ones who may be enrolled in a specific certificate or degree program.
All righty, so I'm going to cut us off this time for sure. Thanks, everyone, and good luck with your semesters.
Thank you. Thanks again for hosting, Marilyn Daniele. This was great.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, that's it. I think we're supposed to hang.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See y'all later.